Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
I love people as I meet them one by one. People are just wonderful as individuals. You see the whole...
My great aspiration, my greatest ambition is to be so good. Now, in that way, I'm tiresome, as I suppose, to live with, because I want to be a fantastic human being.
I am the greatest.
We're not disputing that, Cassius, but how does Sonny Liston feel about it?
He can't feel but one way, and let's take everything I say and like it. Because February the 25th, I'm going to take back my job. I'm the champ. He's no champ. He's a tramp. When you see men fall, don't laugh. Learn. Learn. Because you're on your way up. And the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation.
Shout outs to Sid, man. Shout outs to Sid. Y'all wasn't even gonna say nothing. Y'all just had me talk to myself the whole time. But blessings to everybody, man. Appreciate y'all for being here. Happy Tuesday. I hope all is well. This is a serious topic. We're switching it up a little bit today. Let me bring Sid up. I hope y'all like the setup. I'm just testing it out for now. I don't know how long I'm gonna keep it. I was actually just doing this for like the reaction videos, but I kind of like it right here. Let me bring her up. Do me a solid, show some love, give her a warm welcome. Y'all should already be familiar with her by now. If you're not, then get familiar. What's going on?
Hello. I do like the circles. It makes me think of my favorite exhibit at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, where it's this dome and you can lean in to the tank. So like it feels like you're just gonna fall into the water of the tank, which I always thought is pretty cool. But I'm also biased because I prefer circles and triangles as shapes. So I like the circles, but I'm doing pretty good. Just hanging out. We just watched Finding Nemo for the first time all the way through with my two kids. My daughter didn't care too much for it, but her attention span's not really there yet. But my son was really excited. When I first showed it to him a couple of years ago, he was afraid of the sharks, but this time he was super stoked about the sharks and the turtles. So I think that's going to be one of those movies that he'll enjoy watching over and over again, which I'm cool with. That's one of the Disney movies that I do like. So, yeah, pretty fun day though.
And it's still Disney. They haven't distorted everything yet.
And they did a pretty good job reflecting the actual science. Like, obviously, there's some things in there that you can't really do for kids, but they did a pretty good job representing the environment and the creatures, and like showing some of the animals' behaviors in the characters. So I really like the first one. Second one, not as much, but I won't get into that.
Yeah, it's all good. Well, it's good to see you up here again. Y'all see the title. Matter of fact, let me bring the clip up. I'm not really familiar with the side effects or how bad it is. Like fentanyl, like most of the drugs that I'm familiar with, I mean, in terms of conversations and what I've seen on social media is like, marijuana, heroin, cocaine, et cetera, et cetera. Fentanyl is not really something that I've ever seen discussed a lot. And I was coming across a video on Instagram where this guy, he's pretty much walking around the neighborhood and he's doing a wellness check on people who have this thing where you'll see it in a second. They're bent over in like a weird trance-like state. I don't know. It freaked me out a little bit because I thought that this was going to be something about just homeless people itself, but it got a little darker than that. So I will bring that up on the screen here. Are you familiar with fentanyl, like side effects, how it does the body and how it alters people's brain and things like that? How familiar are you with it?
I'm pretty well versed in it in terms of medical information. Obviously, I have no exposure to it in real life. I have never, give me 1 second. I've never taken it myself, but I have read quite a lot about it because I like to understand the impacts of these drugs and its effect on society as well.
Gotcha. Well, it was on my heart to talk about it, so
I'm glad you are, because it is a very, very big problem right now.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why people. We talk about Trump. We talk about these riots and the National Guard going in Chicago and Washington and all of these different little political things, but we don't really talk about the drugs and how it's really destroying people. So I'm gonna go ahead and run this clip and we'll just take it from there.
Yeah, your head was in the ground, sis. You gonna be all right? This person just laid out like that. You sleeping? Just check. We're on the wellness check. That's all. All right. Thank you. Hello. You need help? Oh,
What say you? I never seen anything like that.
What these people are exhibiting is called the fentanyl or the fentfold. It's really common with users of fentanyl. Basically, as you saw, their heads are going to be down, their knees are going to be bent. They'll probably be unable to respond to what you're saying, but it's how it affects your muscles and your brain's functioning. It slows down your thought processes. It inhibits your brain from being able to instruct the body what to do, which is why you see those people trying to stand upright, but they end up transforming into different positions that look very uncomfortable. It also can cause other impacts inside your body. It can affect your heart rate. It can affect your breathing. It can cause various emotional symptoms like relaxation, euphoria, sedation, confusion. It can make people dizzy. It can, as I said, affect your breathing by causing your breathing to stop in high amounts. And then it can cause coma at a certain point if you take too much. And again, cause death as well. If you allow them to overdose. And it is very, very, very easy to overdose on these drugs. Fentanyl is very dangerous. I cannot emphasize that more. It's 100 times more potent than morphine and 50 times more potent than heroin. And it's highly addictive. I'm not sure what the exact number is, but I know it's 90% or above of people who take fentanyl for the first time will become addicted to fentanyl. And it's a very, because it's very strong, it has a lot of lifelong impacts. It can cause a lot of the same issues that people that take heroin can experience, where it can cause psychosis, it can cause chronic issues with the heart. You can use it in multiple different ways, and depending on the ways that you use, those can also have their own impacts, effects to your veins, effects to your nose and sinus systems. As little as 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be fatal. And just to give you an idea of how much 2 milligrams is, or how much was that? 2 milligrams. It could fit onto the head of Lincoln on a penny. Let me show you the picture that they have. So this is enough to, oops, that is my camera, to kill a person. That is a penny, and obviously the white things are. So you can imagine that it is not very safe for basically anybody to take these drugs. You have to have a very, very high tolerance to survive taking close to that amount. And the biggest problem with fentanyl is it's being cut with other drugs. So what people think that they're getting heroin, people think they're getting cocaine, people think they're getting other types of drugs, but they're getting it with fentanyl included. And oftentimes when people cut drugs together and they don't notify people, you don't know the dosages, the dosages you are getting, which of course, as anyone who takes medication would understand, not knowing how much medication you're taking, especially something that has that strong of an impact on your body, is very dangerous. Especially when most people that are taking them usually don't have the resources to immediately go to the hospital and get care, or they're using it in situations where it, like if you're in a club at a party, something like that, and other people are using drugs, you're less likely to have somebody there who's able to take you to the hospital. A lot of psychology behind that, but I won't get into that. Yeah.
Just seeing a bunch of bodies laying on the street enough. If you ain't like, I got a heart. Just seeing that is sad in itself. How do you get that bad off where you go beyond alcohol and you go beyond marijuana and you start experimenting with other things? And I could never do it. The furthest I've ever gone with a habit was weed, Newports, and liquor. I never was curious about popping a pill. I never saw or had any interest in mixing cough syrup with soda. I don't even understand that shit. Is this depression that people are under that's bringing them to this, or is it just the high that you were getting originally just ain't good enough and you need something stronger?
So I'm not a professional, so I would advise anyone who actually needs this information, don't go to me, go to an actual professional. But generally, people start taking drugs. Come here then. Come here. People generally start taking drugs for two different reasons. Either they're thrill seekers and they're trying to enhance their experience. This is often people like ADHD, bipolar disorder, sometimes schizophrenia or other types of disorders. But they're trying to cause a burst of emotion, or, as I said, heighten their experience, make things more colorful, more exciting, more vibrant, more emotionally charged. The other effect that people could be seeking is to depress your experience, to numb yourself, to zone out, to remove yourself. The psychological word is to disassociate, to remove yourself from your current situation, to avoid difficult emotions. You can technically disassociate by seeking highs, but more typically, people who are trying to disassociate will take drugs to numb themselves out, numb out their consciousness. Again, I don't know the actual data out there, but just from my own understanding, my own previous research, my guess would be the majority of this drive probably stems from either abuse from parents or SA, because those are very, very, very frequently referenced as reasons that people start using drugs. There's a common misnomer that the majority of homeless people use drugs, which is not true. They found about 37% of the homeless population are using drugs regularly, and the majority of them aren't even using hard drugs. A smaller percentage of the population use hard drugs than the TV likes to show, even though there is still a very large drug problem within the vulnerable communities, particularly the homeless population, which, even though the majority of homeless people aren't on drugs, a good majority of the people that are on drugs started taking those drugs because they became homeless. 27% of people who are homeless and are taking drugs stated they started taking drugs because of the fact that they ended up in homelessness. A lot of people like to generalize that people become homeless because they're on drugs, but typically it's the other way around, where they turn to drugs to soothe themselves after they've already lost their homes, because like, what else am I going to do? And yeah, so people that are taking these drugs are typically doing so to assuage symptoms, whether that's anxiety or depression, or the feeling of needing more, which you get with bipolar, ADHD, and some other conditions. I think the majority of people that are using it today are probably using it because they're disconnected, that they don't have community, they don't have friends, they don't have good support from their family members. This is the most common complaint and the most common thing that pulls people back into drugs, is not having a solid support system. And so for those of you that either are on drugs, seek out your kind. Seek out people that care about you, your family members, your friends that actually care about you, not your drug using group friends. Find the friends that are clean. Find the people around you, groups that are around you that are clean. And if you have somebody in your life that is addicted to drugs, reach out to them, bring them into your life, like be there for them, because this is what they need. The thing that we often do to drug users is we push them out and we say that, like, because we dehumanize them because they're on those drugs. But we have to remember that they are not the drugs. Their behavior is not like the things that they're doing is not them. It's what the drugs are making them do. So I think in general, we really need to have more compassion for people that are addicted to drugs, because you really never know what people's stories are. A lot of the people who start using drugs had a medical event that caused them to start misusing drugs, because they were put on narcotics for healing from a surgery or something like that. And some people turn to it because they have chronic pain that they're trying to cope with. Some of them are people that have been through war or have PTSD from other types of experiences. One group that people forget about all the time, of course, I'm not discounting anything they've done at all, but like, people give all of the love and support to soldiers and sailors, but very few, I can't talk today. Very few people consider surgeons and field medics and ambulance drivers and firefighters, and police officers, people who see like horrific accidents, people shot to death, people that are horrifically injured every day and in their career, or maybe not every day, but a lot in their career. And a lot of these people can turn to drugs. There's somebody in my family that turned to drugs because he was an open heart surgeon in a war zone. So he had to see people that had their like chest blown open and stuff like that. And he ended up turning to drugs because he couldn't handle the memories and the feelings that came with that type of experience, or multitude of experiences. So yeah, we really need to have a lot more compassion for people with drugs, because having this accusatory, like, because you're using drugs, you're a useless part of society, you're no good, and blah, blah, blah. We do the same thing to the homeless population. We not only are not helping them solve the problem, which the problem is not the drugs, the drug is the symptom of the problem, but we also are preventing them from getting proper care. Because if, as a society, we see them as like deadbeats and they don't deserve anything, we're not going to ever sponsor care for them, because we're going to be thinking like, oh, they're just going to waste it and it's not worth it, and we shouldn't put our money into these groups because they're just going to throw it away. Having that type of mentality does not give them the chance to actually heal, because we are already throwing them out with the trash, saying that like, well, you're no good anyways. You're not going to be able to overcome it. There's no point in us helping you. So we really have to change our perspective on that.
We gotta change our perspective on a lot of stuff. Like this whole establishment that we've built, where we put everybody in a specific box based on your class. Like, if you're in this neighborhood, that means that you get this level of respect. And if you are in this neighborhood, you get this level of respect. Both can do drugs, but one is probably still going to get treated differently than the other one because they can afford their drug and you can't. People don't really care about the mental aspect of it or the spiritual part of it, you know. This stuff is very consuming. Depression is real. Hard times are just as real. They're neck and neck. And we, you know, we all have our paths. We stumble and fall. I know that one of the main issues that people have is you don't want to get stolen from. You don't want people to keep on lying to you over and over again. There are folks that have gone out of their way to try to help people like this, but they've probably reached their breaking point and said, I can't do it no more. I'm tired. You keep on lying to me. You keep on disappointing me. You keep stealing from me. I keep taking you back. I keep giving you chance after chance. Can't do it no more. I'm going to have to let you learn the hard way. I understand that. I do. But it's like, is blood on your hands? And when you pour into someone, they still refuse to help. Then you decide to wash your hands of it and go on about your business. You love them, but there's only so much you can do before you leave them be. Because a lot of folks got family out here in the street that they probably don't even think about. But there's a lot of people that got family out here on the street that's probably looking for them. I don't know how true that is. I don't have numbers to support that, but it is an interesting thought to consider. Are people really looking for their loved ones that's strung out? Maybe these people don't even have family. Maybe all their family is gone. Like, it's a sad world. It's very depressing. It is. All I see is human beings who got took over by Satan's. It's like, I don't even know how to word it properly. Like, the devil got in, did his job, and is trying to kill them all off. And it's kind of working. It has been working. But we got this whole, they're scum of the earth. They're filthy. Ooh, they shoot up and they got all types of sores and disgusting. Leave them there. We don't want them contaminating the rest of us. Yuck. I never got that. I could never be that way. Now, I have a hard time dealing with my drunk uncles. That's just alcohol. I've never had to deal with someone who was on speed or methamphetamine, and I've never experienced it. I don't know how anybody could tolerate or deal with that, but you said this shit is stronger than most of that. So, to the point that it got you walking bent all the way over like that, and you're just standing in a stiff position or you're on the ground just like, who introduced that shit? Like, you gotta be a different level of evil. I don't know. Compassion is absolutely devoid of a lot of humans these days. We see these folks every day walking up and down our streets, talking to themselves, or maybe they're just out there, I be wondering what them people are thinking. What's on your mind? How bad is it? How is it that you're still alive and holding on and fighting for your life, but there's other people that's committing suicide and they got all this senses, they ain't on no type of anything. So I ramble. I go into different thought pockets, but that's how my brain be thinking. Like this, I'm just grateful that I never got on that type of stuff. That I quit, and God pulled me away from it while I still had the strength to do it, because I know I wouldn't have been able to handle popping no pills. There's no way in the world I would have survived this long on that shit. Pills or anything beyond that. I hate needles, so that's definitely a no. I'm not putting nothing in my arm. Cigarettes is bad enough. Just coughing and running, and you're out of breath, and you can feel and taste the smoke in your lungs. That alone was scaring the hell out of me, and it made me not want to do it. But depression will put you in some of the darkest corners of your life and have you convinced that this is the only way to feel better. It's the only way to erase all the thoughts. It's the only way to remove all the obstacles and make it easier for you to deal with or cope with life.
People who've never had addiction don't realize just how tight of a hold it can have on you as well. I've heard there's a story that I heard not too long ago of a woman that was dealing with addiction to, I want to say it was fentanyl, but it could have been something else. She might have been an alcoholic. She was an alcoholic because she was so addicted to alcohol that to switch over, she would. There's a method, like every time you feel like taking a drink, just drink a big glass of water. She ended up taking her own life because she was drinking so much water to assuage the cravings that she ended up. You can overdose on water. It's called hyponatremia, where your cells basically start falling apart because they can't handle the amount of water that's in your body. But people will kill themselves trying to get that fix after they've become addicted to some of these substances. So it's not just dangerous while you are taking them, but also after you are taking them. If you are a hardcore addict and you detox, you oftentimes have to get medical treatment while you're detoxing, because in some cases your detoxing can kill you. It can cause heart arrhythmias, it can cause dehydration, it can cause seizures and all sorts of other impacts on your body. So it can be extremely dangerous once you do get addicted to these drugs, and it can be very hard to stop, especially if you live in certain areas, because there are certain parts of the country, certain parts of the city that are just easier to get involved in those types of groups. have another family member that had to move from the place he was living in because there was literally nothing for him to do. So he ended up changing it up and going to a completely different state to live with a different family member because that family member was clean and a mother and stuff like that. So she was able to provide him a stable environment, and so he's able to be clean because he no longer has any of those connections, that network, which is sometimes what you need. Sometimes if you are an addict to things, you have to completely remove yourself from the entire network. You can't associate with those people that you used to do stuff before, because anything that reminds you of your usage can be a trigger. It can be incredibly hard to quit something if you're surrounded by things that make you think of that thing, particularly when your brain is already trying to make you crave that particular substance. So yeah. Another thing I wanted to mention, if you or somebody that you know has this addiction, it's really important to get naloxone, which is a medication that reverses a fentanyl overdose, that can save your life, obviously, if you're in the middle of a fatal, potentially fatal overdose. So that is something that anyone who has that in their life should really consider getting. I believe it's a nasal spray. And also, what was the other thing I was going to say? There's another precaution I was going to mention. I'll try and find it and say it once I find it. Oh, test strips. Get yourself test strips. If you do use drugs at all, no judgment, but get test strips. That way you can at least make sure that the things that you're getting are actually what you think you're getting. This can also be good for, in general, like if they're trying to cut your thing with even non-drugs, it can help you. Because as I said, they can put it in heroin, meth, cocaine, like they can put it in pills. So if you're not expecting fentanyl, that can, as I said, that can be very dangerous. So if you use drugs and must use drugs, get those test strips just to protect yourself, if you are going to use. You definitely want to check. It's very, very common now for them to cut fentanyl with these other drugs because fentanyl is much, 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 much cheaper to produce. And it looks just like cocaine, I think. So it's easy to make it look like it's something else. Another short little thing I'll address, there's a myth that you'll overdose just by touching it. That definitely does not happen. It has to enter your bloodstream. It has to enter through a mucous membrane like your mouth or your nose. You can't overdose just by touching it. Though I don't suggest handling it if you find some just like on the street or in your house or something like that. If you find drugs like that, definitely contact the authorities if you did not intend to have that.
Yeah, that's a hard pass for me. I won't be picking up, nor will I be shopping for it.
I'm too paranoid as it is. Like I've always been like hypochondriac-ish, where like my heart's racing, am I having a heart attack kind of mentality, and I couldn't even imagine taking drugs that purposely do that. Like I've smoked, I use alcohol, I've tried other not as dangerous things before, and I get so anxious with it. I'm always like trying to scrutinize every single symptom that I can't really enjoy the experience. So for the most part, I just choose to use like music and other things to give me the high that I'm chasing. I just, at this point, I don't find it worth it. Like as a teenager, I did have my experimental phase where I'm like, I'm gonna try all these drugs when I get to college, and I'm gonna beat. And then I got there, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. Not to mention, like, that shit's expensive. Like, I don't want to spend 2 months worth of food money on a single hour of experience that could kill me. Like, yeah, oh, cool.
That's what I'm saying. Like it was hard enough for me to get weed, and depending on how many times you smoked a day, I had mine mapped out. I ain't gonna hold you. I ain't even gonna go there. I would always make sure that I had enough to last me a week, and then I would stock back up. Then I had a system that worked until it didn't work. And like you, the symptoms took over the enjoyment part. So now I'm out here in the public, wild and out. Don't know what the hell. Nah, that was just off of marijuana. It wasn't even strong stuff. So I already know the strong stuff was. I would have been jumping out the car while I was moving and all types.
That's the other aspect of it, like losing your sensibilities. I can't do that. I'm too productive. I always need to be moving, doing something, whatnot, and having something like make me want to sit down on the couch and not do anything for 6 hours is just not an option for me. Like, I could do it once or something, like a weekend, everyone's home and I'm not the only one watching my kids and managing their emotions as well as my own. I would hate to have something like force me to sit on the couch all day. Like, I've had depression before. I've dealt with that type of depression that makes you sleep in the bed for months and months. You don't text anyone, you don't do anything, you don't go out, you're not eating, or you're binge eating. Like, I've had that behavior before. I don't want to induce that in myself every day. Like, I get upset at myself if I don't finish certain tasks that I feel are necessary. It would make me crazy if I like lost 6 hours of my day to just a stupor. And then also, like, if I took drugs and then woke up and realized that I like missed the podcast or missed my class, I'd be so mad at myself. Be like, what is wrong with you? Don't do this. So yeah, I could never. And then the emotional thing, I admit I have an issue with like emotional control because of my history with bipolar disorder and like issues because of my mom. But taking those drugs will amplify the emotions that already exist in your body. And I don't like I've seen too many 24-hour murder mystery, or not murder mysteries, but like the interrogation type stories where like the woman takes drugs and in her out of mind state like stabs her husband. I'm like, no, I'm not messing with the universe like that. I am not gonna put myself into a situation where I could accidentally like do something because I was like out of my mind. No, I'm good. I'd rather keep my wits about me.
The best thing that I can offer is prayer to these people, because like I said, I've never dealt with anybody who crashes out. Like, you're on methamphetamine and you think that you can punch through brick wall and
or jump off a roof.
I've seen that. Someone did a backflip off of one, landed on their feet, but they landed on their feet and their head bounced off the sidewalk, but they stood up as if they were okay. Yeah, you definitely on something. Because the dude that was standing at the bottom, he said, I give you X amount of such and such. If you do this, then you know how that go. When you got that lingering feeling and you just need it, anything go. Yeah.
I was looking up weirdest things people have done while on drugs, but the list is so out there that I don't even want to read these. There's some. If you're ever curious, there's a Ranker article of the 20 most disturbing drug-induced freakouts. Some pretty crazy stories on there if you're curious, but viewers beware.
I feel like if I start watching it, Instagram is going to pick up on it, and then I'm just going to see nothing but that. And it's going to pop up on my YouTube feed and on my Google feed, and anything that has an app. It's going to be a commercial. It's going to be a promo. You know how I go.
Facts. The internet, well, like, it definitely listens to us. I'm not even kidding. I had a conversation. I wasn't even near my phone, but after that conversation, it started advertising all of the things that I was talking to my husband about on the app, or like on the internet. And I was like, I wasn't even near you when I had this conversation. How did you know this? Like, it was literally advertising the exact same thing that I was like, yeah, I'm trying to find this for the backyard and blah, blah, blah. And I come back inside and it's like, hey, look, I found this for you. Okay.
Man, say new way to get to work. I don't know if you're referring to being on some type of drug or something else. I'll pass. I wouldn't last the whole 10 minutes at the workplace under the influence of anything. Nah, it's not pretty. I tried it once, and everybody looked like, and I was just off of weed. I'm walking around these government officials, wondering the whole time if my eyes are red. And it seemed like every time you hide, that's when people look at you the most. They don't pay no attention until you under the, like, nah, I'm good on that. But my heart and my thoughts and prayers go out to these people. I don't like seeing people like that. Like, they're still humans to me. In a perfect world, you can snap your finger and everybody will be healed. Yeah, nah, for real, bro. That's the only time people will pay you any attention, when you high. That shit used to be crazy because I'd be on an elevator. I'd be wondering if I smell like it. And I just be trying to hope. I be hoping nobody look at me, but it feel like everybody's staring at you. You want to hurry up and get away from people and just get your work done and get the day over with. Yeah, I don't know how I did it, but I used to do that shit a lot. I'm glad I left that shit alone. Do you think we look at these folks less than humans now?
100%. That, and I said homeless and workers as well. I think we dehumanize a lot of people that we see as degraded. I think that's part of the reason why we're seeing this big issue we're having in our country, with attacking every single group of individuals that could be marginalized. So yeah, 100%, they're devalued. We don't care about them. We don't create programs to help them. If we genuinely cared about people that lived on the streets that were addicted to drugs, we would have already built the facilities to put them in. It's not that hard. I mean, a lot of people want to say, oh, we don't have the money, whatever. If you cared, you would find the money. There are ways to rearrange money, reallot things from old programs to new programs to make sure that these people have what they need. And it's very clear these people do not care. When I say these people, most politicians, but also in general, the community members. There's a lot of people that don't understand anything about what drugs are, what they do, why people take them. A lot of people assume that people take drugs to be lazy and to take advantage of the system, and just because, like, they attribute it to personality flaws rather than emotional situations or upbringing. And yeah, exactly what Arcana said. It's like we have this image of what America should be and what the perfect American family needs to look like, and it doesn't fit in that image. That's the same reason why they don't like LGBT couples, or why they don't want interracial couples, or why they don't want people that are immigrants, because they don't fit within this mold that they expect for a white Christian nation.
Yeah. Humans are fucked up. We are some of the most greedy, selfish,
Entitled.
self-serving. It's wild, man. How do you off balance that? Like, you have a group of folks out here that they're purposely making it so you're not given access as easily as the next person to these things. We know there's programs out there for these folks. They're not really in abundance. You know,
there's
that
nice cushy programs if you're rich, where you can get catered to, you can get a nice beautiful resort on the mountains or by a lake. Like, they have some nice programs, but of course it's pay your way, pay to play.
They have a prison for murderers where these niggas live nice. They live nice, and I'm talking about they live better than people in New York. Like, they got more space than people living in New York. They got kitchens. They got. I lie to you not. I did a video on it. The brother, he actually was there for murder. His cell is completely separate from the actual living room spaces, the kitchen, etc. It's like, yeah, y'all gotta be kidding me. And then there's another prison where they're actually using it, saying if these inmates volunteer to be lab rats, their sentences will get reduced. So there's a lot of stuff going on out here that they fund that's dark as hell, and we don't really be aware of it. Conspiracy Queen salutes to you. Appreciate you for pulling up.
I was just looking up stuff about the luxurious prisons, and one of these articles called them Club Fed. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, it's wild. We're in the most debt, but we spend the most money, but don't have no money. You don't have money, you're in debt, but you're still spending what you don't have to spend. And you're giving it away to people, but you're not giving it away to the people who need it here. And you know what's crazy about that, Queen? People take jobs that they shouldn't even take. You're a nurse, but you don't even like people. You're a cash register clerk, and you don't even like to deal with the patrons that come in and they're disgruntled or they're dissatisfied with your attitude. People be taking jobs that they really don't like, and then I say all that to say, if you're going to work at a rehab facility, you gotta be a special type of person. You gotta have a level of patience that not the average human possesses. Yes, exactly.
They also spend money on hostile architecture. I don't know if you guys have heard of that before, but cities in the last, like, I'd say I've noticed it a lot more since COVID. But they'll put in benches that have like dividers or even spikes on like flat retaining walls and stuff like that to prevent people from sleeping in public, sleeping on benches, sleeping on retaining walls and other places people used to sleep. That's why now instead of like bus stop benches, they'll just have like bus stop seats because it's harder to sleep in a chair than on a couch. So that's another way that they're really making it difficult for people that don't really have a choice to be where they're at, or at least don't have very many options, especially in a country where the majority of even employed people can't even afford housing here. I think that's another problem associated with drug use, but I think it would also be its own episode.
Oh yeah, definitely gonna have to spin a block on that one. I hate seeing people down and out. I know we make our choices, and a lot of us put ourselves in those positions. But I'm a firm believer that with God, anything is possible. You can heal anybody. Anybody has the chance. Like if you're still breathing and you're still walking this green earth, you can be redeemed. You can have that moment in time where that light switches on. And but I know realistically it doesn't work that way with a lot of people. It's just I don't know. I just can't stand seeing people like that. Research shows they ended the asylums for treatment of inmates and behavior services because of inhumane abuse and lack of both funding. Don't you just love humans? Imagine just putting someone at the job that they actually love doing and they weren't trying to be manipulative and controlling, and they weren't trying to go out of their way to pocket every single dime that they possibly could for themselves. I think this country will be in a better place. Spiritual war is real. Satan is real. His attack on his people is real. These temptations, these drugs, the things that we lust after and get consumed by. A lot of this stuff is from the enemy itself. And if we don't get a grip on it, well, you know the end result. Most of us aren't even here no more. Most of us have already overdosed and then come back from it. Most of us have died from complications on the table. I never knew you could overdose on drinking water. Let me ask y'all a question. What would it take to get these people some help, some real actual help?
Well, one, as I said, community is going to be really important, making sure that we build scaffolding around them to help support them, because people with addiction cannot do it alone, particularly if you're deeply addicted or addicted to incredibly intoxicating substances. So we have to have a mindset shift within society. We have to have programs available for these individuals. We have to have a restructuring of family kind of dynamics, and help family members understand the nature of drug use, and that it's not because these people are choosing to, but it's because it's an illness. And I think we also need to have much better mental health care, not just inpatient facilities, but also long-term care, like having psychiatrists, having psychologists, having enough people out there to service a very deeply bothered, depressed, addicted generation. Like our society today is struggling very hard with a lot of different addictions, food addiction, content addiction, drug addiction, social addictions, everything. We need to have those services available, and we cannot allow it to be, oh my goodness, my kid. We cannot allow it to be corporatized in the same way that everything else has. I've been seeing an explosion in all of these pseudo psychiatric help apps where you can talk to somebody and you can get help with your conditions, kind of like therapy, but they're not licensed therapists. So we need to have more actual medically vetted individuals available for people needing those services. We also need to have a much better housing program situation figured out, because that whole thing is a total mess. And then insurance, making sure that we have universal healthcare, universal insurance coverage for every person that lives in this country. It is ridiculous that we're the only developed country in the world that does not have medical assistance, medical care for everyone. Europe has it, even parts of Asia have it, Australia has it. We still don't have it. So, yeah. And also, as has been pointed out, our food systems, we really need to reevaluate our food and our pharmaceutical companies' systems, how we fund them, how we promote them, the advertising industries. Like, there's a whole lot of stuff. Really, the biggest problem is the wrong people have the most money, and the people that have the most money want us sick, want us addicted. And so most of the stuff that they have set out, they're sure that we stay sick and addicted. The food, everything, it's funneling us either to prison or to the grave, or both. And yeah, BlackRock, that could also be its own its own conversation. Yeah, it goes deep. The rabbit hole goes deep, and there is a lot of companies that are working together to make sure that we are under their thumb. We definitely should have its own episode, just doing a deep dive on all these companies that are secretly working together and owning all of these groups to control things. Like even foundations that say they help people, like what is it, the Drug Free America or something like that. Like there's some groups and companies that say they're helping people, but really they funnel most of their money to their owners or whatever. Like money doesn't actually go where they say. So that's another thing. If you're going to donate to someone that says that they help people who are homeless or who are addicted to drugs, make sure you actually investigate where that money is actually going. And who is holding those fundraisers, because sometimes if you look behind the scenes, you realize that the money's actually not going to anyone helpful, at least. It's the same thing with Make-A-Wish Foundation or something. One of those like healthcare programs for kids with cancer. The money doesn't actually go to the kids. So yeah, be wary of those things as well. Also, if you are interested, I do have a poem. I didn't write it, but I felt it was very pertinent. I do know the person who wrote it. So if you want, I can read that before the end.
I'll let you close out with that. We got to spin the block on that one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We should also do an episode on BlackRock, because that is a whole foundation, and Monsanto. Those are some stories.
Jot those down. We'll set something up for that. Yeah, because I definitely think those need to be addressed. I need to do some research on it, so this gives me time to actually get a little more knowledgeable on it.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll come back to it maybe Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
That'll be dope. Oh, we for the people. Anything that y'all, I say this all the time. If y'all have a topic or anything that you want to see discussed up here, shoot me an email, reach out to me. We'll make it happen.
Absolutely. I always love covering new topics, so I always get excited to see what people want to learn about.
And Mr. Arcana is going to be joining us on Friday. He's about to be making his debut up here. So shout out. Friday and Saturday. I'm looking forward to having bro up here, man. It's going to be dope. The blackout, the system topic. Yeah, we're gonna lock in for that one. Probably. Matter of fact, we can do one Monday and do another one on Tuesday. It don't really make a difference for me. I'm like her. Let's be diverse with these discussions, So shout outs to you, Conspiracy Queen, for the ideas, for the feedback. Shout out to Arcana for pulling up. Shit. I'm gonna turn the mic over to you. I'm gonna let you do your thing, and we're gonna close out from there. Y'all need to reach out to me. You know how to. I'm not hard to find. I'm pretty responsive. Let me turn this over to the floor.
All right. So this poem was actually written by my teacher, my current writing teacher, and I thought it fit perfectly. When he first read this poem, I did not forget it. So it's called Comptonian Folktale. Once upon a time, there lived a whore of meager wages and of meager hope, who walked the streets of Compton every night in search of tricks to fill her veins with dope. And every night, those men did surely come to feast upon her flesh and weary bones, that every morning woke to alley streets laden with trash and everything she owns. She, like the rest of us, hated her job and took no joy in work, derived no thrill from letting men deposit wasted seeds into a womb no child would ever fill. One morning after her crack-induced sleep, she lifted herself from that alley floor and screamed with every fiber of her frame, "It's over, I can't live this life no more." She took her earnings from the night before and walked into the Goodwill right off Brutes, where she bought 3 nice dresses and 2 pairs of stockings to go with her hooker boots. She got dressed, combed her hair, and greased her scalp, then walked right into Mama's Cleaners on Hyde and said the sign outside said you need help. My daddy owned a cleaner before he died. I worked there 13 years cleaning them clothes, and if you let me work here, you're gonna see I'd be the best employee that you got. Please, ma'am, give me this job. Just trust me. She looked her up and down and then crossed her arms and said, "Who the hell do you think you are? You think just 'cause you bought a dress, these folks don't know you sell your ass behind that bar? Every night my husband leaves my streets and spends my money on your alley. Every night my husband leaves my house and spends my money on your alley streets, then brings your stink into our marriage bed and marinates your sweat in my white sheets. Listen to me good. Unlike my man, I'd never give my money to a whore. I'd slit my throat before I'd ever let a tramp like you work in my store." She walked out of that place with head hung low, then marched to Jerry's Liquor up the street and bought a pint of vodka, which she took back to her alley home to claim her seat. And there she sits today, her dress still on, a mound of broken flesh and broken hope, who waits in Compton alleys every night for tricks that she might numb her pain with dope.
Oh, boom.
Sensational.
I thought that fit perfectly with the whole idea that they just want to live like everyone else, but we are the ones that keep pulling them back down when even they are trying to pull themselves back together.
Fire, fire. Always good to have a nice little poem.
His name was Hiram Sims, by the way, just
Hiram
in case
Sims.
anyone was interested in his work.
Shout outs to him. Shout outs to him. Look, man, this was a great one. This is definitely something that has to be addressed again at some point down the road. And we'll continue to press on. But I want to give a special thanks to everybody that is watching, that pulled up to join us in the discussions, the comment section. You make these discussions that more important. Without you, we don't know how people are really thinking, how they're feeling. So to get your perspectives means everything. And it shows that we're actually doing something. We're speaking on something that needs to be addressed more. And that's the whole point of this. So
I second that. I always enjoy getting to watch other people reflect the enjoyment, but also all of the contributions to the conversation. It's also refreshing to know that people are still paying attention, that there are people out there that still listen and pay attention to the type of topics that we talk about, because it can be kind of tiring hearing all of the disinformation out there and all of the like argumentative types of people that I see on TV a lot now.
Right. We about to get up out of here, man. Y'all know where I'm at. Like, share, subscribe if you're not already. I will see you guys tomorrow. I do it on Friday. And then, my man gonna be making his debut later that evening. I think that was pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening.
I'll be here tomorrow.
Oh, right on, right on, right on.
Thanks for joining us, Queen Arcana.
Yes, absolutely. Do me a solid before you go.
What's the goddamn button?
Yeah, enjoy the rest of y'all night, man.